through the misty veil of ancient times, when gods and giants clashed and the cosmic balance was constantly tested, Thor, the mighty god of thunder, was the unwavering protector of Asgard, commanding storms with his magical hammer Mjölnir, bringing giants to their knees. The only hope for mankind, Thor, under the wise rule of his father Odin, fought a relentless battle against the chaos threatening the Nine Realms. But beneath this cosmic order, in the dark and bottomless depths of the ocean, a different threat was quietly growing. Jormungandr, one of the terrible children of the cunning and mischievous god Loki, and the giantess Angrboda, was a terrifying product of divine foresight. In the whispers of the prophecies, Odin saw that these three children, the wolf, Fenrir, the goddess of the underworld Hel, and the gigantic serpent Jormungandr, would bring about the end of the gods. Like his brothers and sisters, Jormungandr was no ordinary creature. From the moment he was born, he had a terrifying growth rate. To ensure the safety of the gods, Odin made a cruel decision and banished the terrible serpent to the depths of the vast ocean. But instead of stopping Jormungandr's growth, the cold, year after year, Jormungandr grew and grew until finally he encircled the entire world, Midgard, where mankind lived. Its tail was locked in its mouth, forming an endless circle. That is why it was also called the Midgard Serpent. According to legend, it was believed that if Jormungandr let go of his tail one day, the cosmic balance would be shaken and Ragnarok would begin, bringing the end of the gods and the world. Even by its very existence, this gigantic serpent hung over the gods like a dark shadow, an inevitable fate. Thor's strength and courage were the stuff of legend among gods and men alike. One day, to test this strength, perhaps to satisfy his adventurous spirit, he set out on a dangerous fishing expedition with the giant Hymir. Although Hymir had a vast knowledge of the sea, the enthusiasm and confidence that accompanied Thor contrasted sharply with the giant's cautious nature. Thor's eyes shone as they sailed out into the middle of the vast ocean. He had brought along a huge ox head to bait his hook. Under Hymir's astonished gaze, he hooked the huge bait and cast it out into the deep waters. The longer he waited, the more impatient Hymir grew. But Thor knew in his heart that a big catch was coming. And then it happened. Suddenly the line tensed, the line began to sing, and the line began to empty. Hymir knew then that they were not dealing with an ordinary fish. Thor began to pull the line, tensing every muscle in his shoulders. His veins bulged, his face flushed. It was the strongest pull he had ever experienced. A terrible head emerged from the depths, breaking the surface of the water. It was a creature covered in huge scales, its eyes burning like embers, poisonous vapors coming out of its mouth. Jormungandr! Thor had finally come face to face with the serpent of legend. Even the god of thunder held his breath for a moment at the sight of this huge creature. But Thor was not a god to be intimidated. He gripped Mjölnir tightly, lightning flashing in his eyes. Just as he was about to deliver the killing blow to the serpent, the frightened Hymir cut the line, startled by the rocking of the boat. Jormungandr returned to the dark waters with the freedom of the cut line. Thor watched angrily as the great serpent disappeared. He gripped Mjölnir tightly, filled with rage. The encounter revealed Thor's power and Jormungandr's terrifying size. It also showed that Ragnarök was yet to come. Fate whispered that these two mighty beings would face each other one last time. As time passed, gods and men began to see more and more signs that Ragnarök was approaching. The sun was darkening, wolves were chasing the moon, brother was slaughtering brother. The foundations of the world were shaken. Chaos was spreading everywhere. And when that terrible day came, Jormungandr awoke from his deep sleep. A huge body rose from the ocean floor, towering over the waves like gigantic mountains. Its poisonous breath enveloped the shores and boiled the seas. News of disaster came from all over the world. In Asgard, the gods were making their final preparations, resigned to their fate. Odin drank from the fountain of wisdom one last time, trying to unravel the dark veil of the future. Thor, on the other hand, clutched Mjölnir tightly, harboring both anger and sadness. On the battlefield of Ragnarök, gods and giants fought a fierce battle. Thor charged into the fray, Mjölnir striking down the giants with every blow. but in the back of his mind was the inevitable confrontation he was destined for. And finally, the moment arrived. A gigantic head rose from the waves. Jörmungandr, in all his terror, had arrived on the battlefield. Thor and the serpent faced each other for the last time in this ancient, centuries-old feud. Thor swung Mjölnir with all his might, the lightning force of the hammer striking the serpent's scales. Jormungandr roared in pain, his venomous spittle flying everywhere. Thor skillfully countered the serpent's attacks, taking every opportunity to bring Mjölnir down on the monster's body. This relentless struggle shook the heavens and the earth. The clash of gods and giants, the roar of the serpent, and the thunder of Mjölnir made a symphony of doom. Finally, with a mighty blow from Thor, Mjölnir sank into Jormungandr's skull. The giant serpent collapsed with a final struggle. Thor looked down at the snake's lifeless body, proud of his victory. But this victory came at a heavy price. Jormungandr's poison had seeped into Thor's body. He could hardly stand. With a last effort, he took 9 steps and collapsed. The mighty god of thunder had slain the serpent that circled the earth, but his victory had brought his own doom. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating myths and legends.